who the next president of the country might be. The protesters, though, they want a coalition government. Now, the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development recently announced that over 19 billion rand has been spent buying land for restitution purposes, with just over 5,198,594 hectares of land having been redistributed to black people since the 27th of April 1994. However, challenges remain. There is a lot of land that still lies idle due to a lack of post-settlement support, governance issues amongst land reform beneficiary communities, and therefore leading to a lack of appetite for investors to get involved in the land reform program. The Vumelana Advisory Fund has devised more insights into interventions to support and land reform beneficiaries to improve productivity of the land and to enable them to have access to markets by measuring what government could commit to ensure optimal return on the current investment on the land reform program. Suggestions to turn the situation around revolve around looking for opportunities for partnerships with the aim of tackling the dilemma of land as a low-hanging fruit, to fast-track opportunities to drive the success and the productive use of land for the land reform program, to ensure that land reform produces the desired results, which aims to create employment, drive food security and create genuine and sustainable opportunities for social and economic development. Well, for a little bit more on this, we're joined by Peter Setu, who's the Chief Executive for the Vumelana Advisory Fund, and he joins us for more. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for having me.
Land reform has been an issue since day one that South Africa got into a democratic era. And I just wonder, what are the big hurdles that you are looking at that need to be overcome for things to happen more quickly?
Thank you, Peter. I think there are a number of hurdles that needs to be addressed in order to get land reform to work for South Africans. There are a number of reports out there which are available, some of which have been commissioned by government itself or Parliament. To mention a few, we've got the Motlanthe report, which has got elaborate, information on what should be done in order to get land reform to be more sustainable. But I think for me, really, one of the big issues that needs to be addressed is the whole issue around providing post-settlement support for beneficiaries of land reform. As South Africans, we appear to be more fixated with really giving people more land without providing them with the requisite support so that they can use the land more productively. We need to make sure that we provide them with the requisite skill set. We also need to make sure that they've got access to market. So from that perspective, post-settlement support is most important, and we should make sure that we provide this to beneficiaries of land. And as I've said, there's quite a number of them. Land is an emotive issue, and we know that frequently there are, there's usually some disputes even amongst the different communities. What is lacking out there is there are no, mechanism through which disputes between communities can be resolved. So in my view, there's a need to find a better way through which these disputes could be resolved so that they don't drag for much longer, and we have a situation where the land is really lying fallow because there are disputes amongst the communities. The other issue is the whole issue around limited capacity within the state, where you find that some of the things are not getting done, not because government doesn't have good policies, but because there's limited capacity within the state. I think that is something that needs to be addressed. Also, coordination amongst different government departments who are relevant for land reform. For example, agriculture, rural development, water affairs, tourism, just to name a few. There is a need to make sure that there is more coordination so that the support that's provided to beneficiaries is more targeted and it's more sustainable.
Mr. Sethu, it's been 28 years. There are consultants like you who have ideas of how to solve these issues. Why hasn't the message been getting across? Is it government not listening? Is it government not knowing where to look for help? There must be some kind of disconnect between knowing what ought to be done and what's actually being done.
Well, as I've said, there are a number of reasons why some of the things actually haven't taken off the ground. We must be honest and actually say, look, the available resources, we've got limited resources actually to support land reform. And we clearly cannot accept government to go it alone. There is a need for the private sector to also come to the party. What I'm saying is,
what can the private sector contribute, do you think?
Well, our work as Vumelana Advisory Fund bears testimony to the fact that bringing the private sector to collaborate with beneficiaries of land reform can actually work. And I mean, to date, we've got about 25 community partnerships that we've actually sponsored, which really have, generated or rather attracted in excess of R1 billion in private sector, private investment. And this has got the potential to really create thousands of jobs and really impact positively on a whole range of, beneficiaries of land reform, turning in excess of 72,000 hectares into hectares of land to productive use. So clearly, we have tested this. We know what is working and we know what is not working. So all that we are advocating for is, let's not reinvent the wheel. We are advocating that we should partner with government, we should partner with the private sector to make sure that we can replicate on what we have already done.
Mr. Sethu, we're going to have to leave it there, and we hope that speedy movement can happen in terms of moving these solutions, private sector joining hands with government to solve this long-standing problem. Thank you so much for your insights and your thoughts tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Mr. Peter Sethu, who's the Chief Executive for the Vumelana Advisory Fund, talking to us about some of the challenges around land reform in South Africa. When we come back in the next hour, we'll be going international. We're going to be looking at